You are not calm, you are numb. There's a profound difference between emotional mastery and emotional atrophy. Most people believe they are winning because they no longer feel the sting of failure or the heat of embarrassment. In reality, you have simply lowered your operating temperature to avoid the pain of being alive. By feeling less, you aren't becoming a machine of efficiency, you are becoming a ghost in your own life. You have traded your edge for a dull, safe existence. And this emotional poverty is the exact reason your discipline is evaporating. The human brain is an adaptation engine. When you consistently suppress your emotions to survive stressful environments or avoid discomfort, you are engaging in a process called affective blunting. This isn't a superpower. From a neurobiological perspective, you are recalibrating your reward system. When you mute the lows to avoid pain, you inadvertently cap your highs. This flattens your dopamine response curve. Since dopamine is the primary driver of motivation and goal-oriented behavior, a flat curve means you lose the ability to feel the pull toward a better version of yourself. If you don't feel the bite of being average, you will never possess the hunger required to be exceptional. The psychology of survival through emotional detachment reveals 4 critical malfunctions in your mental operating system. First, the brain learns that avoidance is the highest form of safety. Psychology shows that every time you choose to go numb rather than face a difficult emotion, you reinforce a neural pathway that favors retreat over confrontation. This weakens the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for executive function and self-control. When you face a high-pressure task, your brain doesn't look for a solution, it looks for the off switch. You don't struggle with procrastination, you struggle with the inability to sit with the discomfort of effort. Second, research suggests that emotional suppression consumes immense cognitive resources. You think you are saving energy by not reacting, but the act of inhibiting a response is metabolically expensive. This leads to decision fatigue much earlier in the day. This is why people who survive by feeling less often find themselves scrolling mindlessly for hours. Their willpower is exhausted not by work, but by the constant internal pressure of keeping their emotions buried. You are at war with your own biology. Third, the brain interprets a lack of feeling as a lack of importance. If you don't allow yourself to feel the frustration of a missed deadline or the shame of a broken promise, your brain categorizes these events as non-threatening. Without a negative emotional marker, there is no biological incentive to change the behavior. You become stuck in a loop of mediocrity because you have removed the internal alarm system that is supposed to tell you when your life is off track. Fourth, emotional detachment destroys your ability to delay gratification. Discipline requires a vivid emotional connection to a future reward. If you have numbed your ability to feel, the future version of you becomes a stranger. You cannot sacrifice for a stranger. Consequently, you default to the path of least resistance. The brain chooses the immediate, low-level dopamine hit of a snack or a video over the long-term satisfaction of a goal, because that satisfaction has become a concept you can no longer feel. Most people fail to fix this because they seek motivation. They wait for a feeling to strike them so they can finally begin working. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how the mind works. Motivation is a fickle chemical byproduct. It is not a fuel source. Willpower is a finite resource that fails the moment you are stressed or tired. If your strategy relies on how you feel, you have already lost, especially if you have trained yourself to feel as little as possible. Systems and cold constraints are the only things that survive the vacuum of emotional numbness. If you want to regain control, you must accept one uncomfortable mental shift. You must learn to invite the pain back in. You cannot cherry-pick which emotions you experience. To have the drive to win, you must be willing to feel the agony of losing. Awareness is the only tool you have. You must stop using distractions, be it your phone, substances, or constant busy work, to drown out the silence. The silence is where the truth lives. If you do not change your relationship with discomfort, if you continue to hide in the gray area of feeling nothing, no amount of productivity hacks will save you. Discipline is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to function while the emotion is screaming at you. It is the cold realization that your feelings are irrelevant to the task at hand, but your ability to experience them is vital to your humanity. Take responsibility for the numbness you have cultivated. It served you once as a shield, but now it is your cage. Subscribe if you want clearer thinking and more discipline instead of motivation.